You are watching a master.
Yes. What? I think I should have been a rapper or a DJ or something. My skill sets. Wow. Welcome. Thank you. No, you're too kind. Please stop. Welcome to another episode of Hidden Figures, Behind the Numbers with the Restaurant Scientists. My name is Jason Wallace, and I am the Restaurant Scientist. Woo! So before I get started, I want to thank my sponsors, Cornerstone Business Labs, Cornerstone Production, and Cornerstone Media. Without them, none of this happens. So as we are wrapping up season 1, we have 2 more episodes to shoot. I've been blessed to have 2 powerful women executives in food service from an internationally recognized power brand, Sylvia Woods, Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem. Welcome to the show, Crizette Woods and Taniedra McFadden.
Thank you for having us.
Wow. No, thank you for being on the show. We're currently shooting this episode in Women's History Month, and what better individuals to have on in terms of executive women of color in the food service industry, which is rare and a hell of an accomplishment, than you two. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. How you guys doing today?
We're great. Thank you. How are you today?
Good. I'm fine. Thank you. So we're going to jump right into this. Just give my listeners and viewers an overview of, who you are, your inspiration, how'd you enter into the restaurant and food service industry, who inspired you, what motivates you to this day, and what were some of the key components as you ascended to executive and food service, and again, particularly with such an iconic brand as Sylvia's.
Well, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Taniedra. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Sylvia's Restaurant. And I pretty much got into food service by accident, I would say. My path was not to food service. It was more management-based, legally based. So went to law school for a year. That didn't really work out for me. Mm-hmm. Then did a few jobs trying to figure out what I was going to do next. Ended up at an accounting firm, worked there for about 10, 11 years, telling rich people how rich they are, which was, after a while, got old. Mm-hmm. And then left that job and kind of was just figuring out where to go next. And my aunt, Crizette, said one night at a family event that my uncle needed some help in the office. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'll help him out. And helping him out for a couple of weeks turned into, what has it been? 8 years, 9 years later. And, I actually ended up loving the food service industry. It turned into something that, although I'm passionate about eating food, I'm also passionate about, how the food is made and making sure that it's quality food that goes out and quality food, that ingredients that are used, and making sure that the guests are happy. And all of those things that come into putting food on a plate. It's not just the food. There are so many other factors involved. But that's the kind of thing that intrigues me. The people that are involved in making those plates and making a guest happy. That's what drives me. So
gotcha.
I kind of got into it and I love it.
Right.
So at this point, I feel like I probably would be in food service for a good while now. Mm-hmm. We would like to retire early, but we'll see how that goes.
Right.
If I could retire on food, that'd be great.
Right. And clearly that financial, that pre-law, there's clearly a level of intelligence there that, you try to glaze over, but I'm going to pull it back and like, listen. Yeah. Super smart. But clearly those skill sets were transferable, particularly when you start talking about the world of finance and the ability to analyze, synthesize, and evaluate restaurant operations, because running, being the chief operating officer of such an iconic brand is no easy task.
Absolutely.
Correct.
I've always thought that my degree in business management, my experience in finance, all of those skills that I've learned over the years were transferable to pretty much any industry. So when I left the accounting firm and doing finance, the world was my oyster. I could have gone, in my mind, I could have gone to any industry
Right.
and taken my skills and applied it there,
Right.
because I looked at my knowledge as something that I could transform to be successful in whatever industry I wanted to be.
Got you. Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm hearing. I don't know if it's our earrings or something. That's when you talk and you move. I'm hearing something clicking and clacking. Do you have a headset on?
I do.
Yeah. So it's probably the ear. You don't have to take them off, but I just want to let you know. Wow. So Crizette, let's talk.
Hold on. Let's try it first, just in case.
All right.
Let's see. Try speaking now.
Is that better?
Yeah.
No, there's something else.
It's still
that's a lot better.
Yeah,
it was that one.
Try speaking now. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
No, it's still making it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are only earbuds that you're wearing?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know what's making the sound.
Yeah, right.
Something.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's better.
Right there sounded better.
Yeah, that's nothing now.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Let's continue. Ready? 3, 2.
Okay. So, Crizette, tell us a little bit about your journey, your history, your inspiration.
Well, my journey, it's so funny because, I grew up in the restaurant. I was literally almost born in the restaurant. So it was, but I did not think I was going to stay in the restaurant, be in the restaurant business. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I worked. When I didn't want to go to summer camp anymore, Mommy gave me the opportunity. Okay, you have to go to summer camp or you can work and wash dishes. So I decided I wanted to work and wash dishes, serve tables, whatever I had to do to not go to summer camp. And I worked throughout high school. When I went to college, I really wanted to go into fashion merchandising. That was my goal, to open up my own retail stores. And so, I graduated from business management and merchandising, but ended up staying in the restaurant business. And it was, my mother was that role model for me, just the love that she put into every aspect of the restaurant. I mean, it was great that she gave us all that encouragement to go out and do whatever we wanted to do. But at the time I felt like, the restaurant was my place. And from serving tables, washing dishes, to serving tables, to bartending, maybe a little bit earlier than I was supposed to.
Right.
But it was, it was just all throughout my, every part of my being, the service industry.
Right. Absolutely.
So it really became natural. And at the time that I came out of business school, we were pivoting into another level. And I said, okay, I'm going to stay here, because we were expanding from our brunches, our jazz brunch, gospel brunch. And it was definitely something that I felt a need to stay in. And
right. So let me ask you this, Crizette. Let's just back up, and we got to paint a bigger picture, because most people may not know exactly where 3 or 4 generations in terms of the Sylvia Woods restaurant in Harlem, New York. So identify and outline just how many generations there are now, and your position within that, and just kind of go back and give the listeners and the viewers a little bit of taste of what it was like. Well, you're coming up on 59 years now?
59 years.
59 years in business since 1962. So just
62, August 1st, 1962. And I am the second generation, the youngest of the four children. And we now have four generations. Yes, four generations working.
Yeah, absolutely. Applause. Talking about true Black history, true culture here, Black culture here.
And legacy. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
something, I think all of the kids at some point or another, if you're involved, like Taniedra said, it was a family function that she came in and we were at, and I said, oh, Kenny needs some help, and we kind of suck you in. And that's what happened. But it's not too hard. I don't think it's too hard to do that. But yeah, four generations. I would say the third generation. They're really running things there.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
blessing.
they're
That's a
doing an
beautiful thing.
awesome job.
That's a beautiful thing. And I have to, again, I'm very close to the family, so this is really personal for me and a joy to have Crizette and Taniedra on the show. But I'm telling you, I've literally seen like the great grandkids like start out being a host. And you're talking about a facility where the volume, I've been in the restaurant industry 35 years. I've never seen the volume of a restaurant churn and burn. Like you can really feel sometimes at full capacity when there's an hour wait at the door and every dining room is full and the kitchen is like, you could feel the place almost shaking, literally. And I've seen the younger ones come in and cut their teeth hostessing and then running food and then, like she says, washing dishes and, just all of the things to learn the industry from the ground up in every position, bartender, bar back, host, server, all of those things. So it's been a pleasure to be a part of over the last 25 or so years since I've been, knowing the family. And I commend you, Crizette, for the work that you've done in your family. We thank you. Applause.
Thank you. And I want to just add to that, Jason, one of the things, being in the family business, you kind of work, because you work so many different areas, you kind of fall into an area that, you feel you're most valuable in. So you learn all aspects, but then, you might wear many hats, as Taniedra would know, and Jason, we all wear many hats in the business. I mean, I kind of fell into the HR and comptroller, and that, at the time you that's where your expertise is needed. So, and that's what happens.
Right. No, absolutely. So the second topic area that I want to talk about is maturing as a professional. So, for you, one, it's a family-owned business. So how did you mature through your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever? And, what were some of the trials and tribulations? How did you transition? The external factors of life getting in the way. And we all know that the restaurant industry really becomes our life. And even if you're not blood family, we work together so long and so many hours and so many days that you also become family with other employees. And I know you guys got employees that have been with you guys 20, 30, 40 years. So how did you as an individual mature professionally to develop and hone and become an expert? Because that's what you are, and that's what we become after a certain period of time in those industry. I know you said you're in the HR component, human resources area, Crizette, and so talk a little bit about how you matured throughout the career and the difficulties of one, not just maturing, but also in a family-owned business, which is a whole nother dynamic when you're really dealing with that type of culture.
Yeah, I mean, dealing with the family business as the youngest in the family, I had my challenges, being a baby sister to actually a business partner with my siblings. My parents did a great job in really giving everyone their voice and encouraging, to really contribute and not feel, kind of where you had to step back. The other challenge I would say, as in HR now is because we have employees that were with us from the time I was a child and then becoming their manager. And, it was a bit challenging, but
Wow.
I would just say it was something that was a bit natural, just because of the compassion.
Right.
It was compassion. I saw how mom managed her employees, but with compassion
Right.
and with, I would say, well, how do you, it was just really watching her.
Yeah.
That was, but then, we also grew and become, as your business growing and number of employees grow, it's different from managing 10 to 20 to managing 100.
Right.
And
Right.
so, it was really, learning, constantly staying up, updated on HR issues, which right now, I mean, can be, really challenging because there's so many contradictions from the city to state to federal, and it just becomes overwhelming. So,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
I
Wow.
would say that, and even with the next generation, because there are employees that saw our kids grow up to now become their manager. But we learn respect is from the top on down, and vice versa. So.
Right, right. I don't know if the listeners are catching what she's saying here. You're talking about growing up, and your mother owns a business, and her employees watch you grow up as a child, and now you take over the business. Now that employee is your employee, right? The challenge, the dynamics, the emotional intelligence, all of those interpersonal communicative skill sets, all of those things that are part of that conversation and the day-to-day operation where, now I'm no longer Mrs. Woods' daughter, I'm your boss, and I need you to follow these policies and procedures.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely. That's huge. That's huge. Taniedra, how about you? Talk to us about your experience and how you matured professionally.
Well, my track was varied because I went through some other from the private sector from the public sector into the private sector. So, and being in a family-owned business is completely different from working for a larger corporation. And I've also always previously been one of the sole Black people, not only Black women, but Black people in my department, if not my company. So that experience of going from being the micro minority to being the majority and working with 90%, Black people has been a different experience. But I've always been someone who is an observer and a person who loves to gain knowledge. Like I always said that if I could go to college and not have to take an exam or write a paper, I would be in college forever because I just want to absorb the knowledge. So I learn and I read, and I just want to make sure that I'm kept up to date and I'm improving on myself to be able to step up and do what needs to be done to get the job done well and properly. So in all of those positions, I look to whoever I was working with or for and took whatever knowledge that they were trying to give me and shared it to my community. I took it for myself because they had knowledge that I couldn't get from my community. So I took that and decided to say, you know what, I'm going to spread that to my community. And then when I left those industries and came to Sylvia's, I was able to take that information and share it with my family and help them to grow in a different way, help them to see things in a different perspective.
Wow. Yeah, and I'm sure that was helpful on both ends because now you have that corporate infrastructure culture that you come out of where there may be a lot of structured and then in a family-owned businesses, sometimes, there's not so much structure because, that's my cousin, that's my sister, that's my brother, that's my niece, that's my nephew. So, how do you bring those types of policies and procedures and apply them evenly across the board and try to remove that emotions from the business decisions and not impact that when you go home at night. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. Like, at work, I might be mad at you, or maybe you did not do your job effectively today, or you came in work, or your performance is slipping. But when I go home, or I'm at a family function, over the weekend or the holidays, now I can't be still mad at you, right? I'm technically,
Right.
like, just have that kind of conversation. Like, it's real stuff.
It happens every day. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Our family is extremely close.
Right.
So me and two of my cousins literally work 5 days out of 7 together. And we work all day together. Then we'll go out for dinner together. We'll see each other on our days off. But if something doesn't get done, we have a mutual respect for each other that we all have a job to do. And we're all there for the same purpose. So we're able to separate what the work is and what the other stuff is.
Wow.
It's a hard task to do. We have to work on it every single day.
I can imagine.
Because it's not easy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Also, other thing is learning also from us. It's something that we had to do. It was 4 of us, meaning my siblings and I, 4 of us that had to learn to do that. I mean, we were as a close family,
right.
We love each other, pray every day that before meetings, right? We pray, we eat, we sleep, everything together. And then you have to now go into this business and operate as a company, as business partners. And so it's important for us to make sure we share that same, show that commitment, and how we separate the business from the personal for the next generation, because, it's, the generations have grown. And for those who are actually working in the family business, it's so important that we continue to show that with you all.
Absolutely. It's huge, because you still have the other side of the family that does not work in the industry and the business. And, that those relationships are huge. This is great conversation. Like, this is real stuff that we really want to share. I appreciate you guys for taking this deep dive into it. But it's very valuable and fruitful information. So let's talk a little bit about executive level decision making. So now you are an executive in a high volume, internationally recognized brand. What keeps you up at night? Like, what are some of the things that you have to consider when making a decision? Who are some of your strategic partners? And again, more importantly, like, what are some of the pain points and the decisions that you have to make as an executive in the food service industry?
Well, I would say what keeps me up at night, besides figuring out when we're going to get back through the other side of this pandemic, and which has been challenging. I mean, Taniedra and I'll send emails at like 4:00 in the morning because I'm not asleep. The first thing I ask my children when they're getting ready for work, how did you sleep? Because that was something, my mom, she had those sleepless nights where she would just write notes about the day or what she had to do. I would say, some of the challenges we have right now, again, is how we have pivoted throughout the past 12 months, but going forward over the next, 1 to 5 years, going into our 60th anniversary, and, coming stronger and better on the other side of this pandemic, what has hit the restaurant industry tremendously, we, because we've been operating on mostly takeout and deliveries, and thank God for that next generation that really, when we shut down, they were there day one, making it happen. I'll let Taniedra.
Applause. Let's drop some applause to the next generation. What is it? G3, G4? What generation?
3GW.
Huh?
3GW.
3GW. We want to thank them, because they are dynamic. I mean, I got to have them on the show next. So just
Okay, we'll save some.
No doubt, no doubt. I gotta have. I mean, they can come on next week if they're available, because you're gonna.
I'll make them available.
Yeah, I mean, I need them. You're talking about powerful, intelligent Black people, man. You know what I mean? Just like good people. So yeah, that's what keeps you up at night. Taniedra, what keeps you up at night, and some of the challenges that you face as an executive.
The pandemic has been difficult, and staffing has been one of the things that keeps me up at night. Okay. We don't know from day to day what the volume is going to be. Right. It's so varied. Like some days we can be super slow, and some days we're slammed. So it's such a crapshoot every day. And so what keeps me up is trying to figure out whether we're going to be able to keep up with volume. Wow. And whether we're going to be able to keep staff. Right. We had to lay off so many people when the pandemic hit, which was one of the hardest things that we had to do, because as we said, we had a lot of staff that have been with us for 30 years, 25 years. So to have to lay them off and not know if they're going to be able to come back has been difficult.
Pre-pandemic, how many employees did you have pre-pandemic?
Over 100.
Wow. And now, how many?
About
43.
30?
Wow.
Which is 43?
Right. Full and part-time. That's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Over half.
So over half that we lost. Wow. And we would love to bring a lot of them back. Right. But right now, the volume is so uncertain that we just don't know how we can do it. We just don't know how we can make sure that we are keeping up with the volume it's different. So we're not doing indoor dining. We're not doing a lot of catering anymore, but we're doing a large amount of takeout and delivery, but it fluctuates from day to day. So, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, all right, is the weather going to be good today? Right. If the weather's going to be good, are we going to do outdoor dining? We're doing outdoor dining. Do I need a server? Do I not need a server? We're going to do self-service. Like all of those things, I wake up thinking, okay, do I need to call another person? So staffing is something that even before the pandemic was an issue, now it's become a constant question of how do we keep up with volume and how do we keep our customers happy and coming back?
Right. Anything you want to add to that, Crizette? Are you good?
No, I would just say, it's been difficult because we don't have you can't read it. It's hard to read the formulas and the numbers and base it on historical. There's no historical in these times to base our scheduling and how preparing food. And it's a lot, it's a lot of uncertainty. Right. And you don't want to sacrifice service. You don't, regardless if we're doing just takeout and delivery, it's even more important to make sure with that takeout and delivery that we are still offering that same Sylvia's experience, whether it's sitting outside and, people will sit out. Okay, it's a little chilly, but I'm going to sit out and just enjoy this food right now rather than going back to home or going to their hotel room or back to their office. Right. No, it's a moving target for sure. Yeah.
So as we look forward, right, 21, 22, 23 to 25, what do you guys anticipate for your business model? Like, what are the key resources? How do you define value propositions going forward? How will you utilize technology to improve operations, yet still maintain the authenticity of the food, the quality of the service, the hospitality, all of those things? Let's speak to, what's the brand going to look like in 2023, 24, 25? If we know that's a moving target, but what types of executive decisions and conversations are you having now with your business partners?
I would say I think back, and it's kind of going back another generation, Jason, but I look at with our grandmother as an entrepreneur. She was a midwife, and how, we looked at how she did her books. We looked at my mom and how she did her books. Now we're in a newer technology from the handwriting, but it's still all about planning. How do we utilize our technology without compromising the experience, making it more efficient so we can deliver that Sylvia's experience, making it more efficient. That's I would say one of the biggest things that, during this time and going forward, what is that model going to look like? We've been examining it, Jason. We've again called on you. We've had these conversations, and Taniedra, you can add on to that.
Yeah, I think right now we've had recent conversations about upgrading some of our technology, like our POS system, and making sure that those things translate into the kitchen as well, so that the kitchen is getting efficient information that can go to the front of the house and out to the guests. So that's one thing that we're using technology for. We've restructured a lot of things that the pandemic has forced us to do. So the way that we've handled takeout and delivery, because we were shut down for so long, we've kind of shifted and installed some windows that slide open so that people can easily get their food from outside instead of having to come inside and queue up inside the building. They're doing that outside. So we're making some additional changes to the interior so that we can just operate our business a little more efficiently than we have been. And it's a moving target, as you said. It keeps changing with the rules changing every day. New York City opening up a little bit more every week. Things will be changing. So we're just trying to keep up with the moving target.
Got you. Awesome. Okay, so as we wind down the show, it's been an awesome conversation. Again, I want to thank you. What are some of the last departing words of wisdom that you want to leave to my listeners, to the next generation of people of color, executives in the food service industry? And in addition, so there's one question, and the last thing I want to kind of leave you with is, what's the future for Sylvia's, and what do you want people to know? Are you open now? Will you be open next week? What's the situation in terms of how someone can get that beautiful, wonderful, tasteful food?
Well, we are open, not for dine-in service, but we are open, and we're delivering, and whether it's delivery service, we encourage people to go to our website to order their food, because that's another thing with the third parties. It's kind of hard to manage some of the, whether it's the delivery time, that and the hands-on. So we encourage people to still order through Sylvia's website, watch Sylvia's website for our actual updates on the indoor dining. But yeah, we are here. We're, approaching 60 years. We are constantly improving, and, getting ready for that next 60 years, and that's.
Absolutely. Taniedra, anything you want to add to that?
I would say one thing I've learned is to not be afraid to ask for help. Okay. So you had asked about strategic partners that we've worked with. And over the last year or so, and over the lifespan of Sylvia's, we've had a lot of strategic partners that we've worked with that have been able to help us in different ways. So recently, we've been working a lot with Madison Square Garden to provide meals to essential workers. We're currently working with American Express to help us upgrade our outdoor dining space. We work with National Action Network over many, many years. And most recently during the pandemic, we've done the Sunday Supper, where we've given out pantry meals. We've given out meals to the community every Sunday for how many weeks, Crizette? Maybe
about 2 months.
About 2 or 3 months. So we were able to feed the community, and we still feed the community every night. After we close, we give out free meals to those who come up to our window and say that they're hungry. So we're able to utilize those strategic partners, and we're not afraid to, because they're helpful. they're getting something out of it the same way that we're getting something out of it. So I would say don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Got you. Wow.
Yeah, and to also add to that, not being afraid to ask for help, it's something that, I just recall many years where people would come to mom, women would come to mom and ask her how did you get started? What made you want to, to do that? And she shared her information. So it's very important that we share, as much knowledge as we can. And for, as Women's History Month, for women and, minorities as a whole, just to not be afraid to ask for help, and for us to all share that knowledge,
Absolutely.
that to only help each other grow.
Absolutely.
Because mom would always say there's enough stomachs to feed. So, we can't there's no fear of competition. It's really just as a community and growing brands, growing, whatever you have to, whatever passion you have as for business, just go for it and not be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. Wonderful words of wisdom coming from the women of Sylvia's for Women's History Month. I would be remiss if I did not thank the entire Woods family. I've been knowing the family for 30 plus years and truly love, respect, and admire the entire family. I got to give a shout out to Van Woods, to Bedelia Woods, to Kenny Woods, and to Crizette. The third generation, the fourth generation, Taniedra McFadden, just the whole entire family is just a beautiful, beautiful family. And you make me proud, you make us proud in terms of, what you've accomplished over the last 59 years. We're looking forward to the 60th celebration and another 60 more years. I won't be here to see it, but, that legacy will live on. So without any further ado, ladies, I want to thank you again. I want to thank my sponsors, Cornerstone Business Labs, Cornerstone Productions, and Cornerstone Media for sponsoring Hidden Figures Behind the Numbers with the Restaurant Scientists. Until we meet again, power to the people.